It seems we are not going to see an end to demonstrations and protests in the country. As we speak, supporters of Rigathi Gachagua and the Manyata MP Gitonga Mukunji stormed the police station and they went on the streets demanding the immediate release and the unconditional release of their member of parliament. Now, before we look at that, there seems to be a hidden hand, powerful instructions from powerful people to apprehend and intimidate Mukunji. Of course, he was arrested because the police is saying that he's helping with the investigations. They suspect that he's fueling or sponsoring demonstrations. But ladies and gentlemen, who exactly is Mukunji? Mukunji is a very strong supporter of Rigathi Gachagua. In fact, before he was arrested, Rigathi Gachagua says that information about his arrest had been leaked to him by the rebel DCI officers who do not agree with Ruto's policies. And this is what Rigathi Gachagua said.
Nimepata information watu ya DCI wamepata communication from President Ruto ya kwamba governor wa Embu ameomba yeye amsaidie mjumbe wa Manyata Mukunji atafutiwe makosa ashitakiwe.
You know, Rigiji has also become a powerhouse. Whenever he says something, we listen to him, because just like Raila Amolo Odinga used to do, when Rigiji says something, it has to come to pass. You remember when he said that he had information that Natembeya was going to be arrested. The following day, the Ethics and Anti-Corruption Commission went there to arrest George Natembeya, the Trans Nzoia governor. Rigiji told us that Ruto had grabbed part of Ngong Road forest and that there was a hotel that was being built there. On further scrutiny, it came out to be true. So Rigiji had said that he had information that Mukunji was to be arrested, and it has come to pass. Not only that, Mukunji himself had dared the government to arrest him because he knows very well, or rather he knew, that his closeness with Rigathi Gachagua would cause him problems. And according to him, he's accusing Ruto's closest ally, Oscar Sudi, the Kapsaret member of parliament, of being behind his arrest, because I think at some point Sudi had called for his arrest. And this is what he had to say. He was daring them. Come, come baby, come. This is what he had to say.
That have happened during the era of William Samoei Ruto. Sasa mimi nimeona jana Sudi ati akisema Mukunji ati atakamatwa. Huyu Oscar Sudi mwenye alimalizia darasa la 3. Ati anataka kusema ati Mukunji ashikwe ndio atayarishe kushika Gachagua. Wewe Sudi umechelewa. Ita hao watu leo hapa, mimi niko hapa Runyenjes, wakuja wanikamate bana. Kuja. Leta hiyo watu bwana. Kwani unadhani sisi ni akina nani? Mimi bei ya uoga sijui. Hata pesa ya kununua uoga sina kwa sababu economy ni mbaya. Wewe Sudi wewe, unaongeanga mingi. Wewe umemislead rais sahi, amekuwa less than 9% popular in the whole country. Less than 9% popular. Mtu alikuwa karibu 99% popular wakati tulikuwa tunachagua yeye. Umereduce yeye kwa sababu ya hiyo akili yako ya standard 3. Amekuwa the most unpopular president ever in this country. Na unadhani ati tutanunua uoga? Wewe kujia sisi. Kujia sisi tuko tayari. Kwani nyinyi mko tayari? Tuko tayari. Si mko tayari? Wangapi wako tayari kukuja kukamatwa? Kuja sisi zote. Kwani polisi wanakuwa na nini? Si mipingu tu. Si wanafunga mtu hivi. Unakamata unapelekwa hivi. Bora msiguze watoto yetu na msijaribu kutufinya sisi sehemu nyeti. Hiyo maneno mengine tuko sawa. Sindio?
Not only that, ladies and gentlemen, after Rigathi Gachagua, the former deputy president, was impeached in a move that many felt was very malicious, Gitonga Mukunji proposed a bill in parliament that would subject any attempt to impeach the president, the deputy president, governors to a national referendum, because they felt that Rigathi Gachagua was maliciously subjected to impeachment. So he had proposed a bill that would allow anyone who wants a president, a deputy, or a governor to be impeached, that prerogative must now fall in the hands of wananchi. So, ladies and gentlemen, having looked at that, why was Mukunji arrested? This video here is one that is going on viral, and I don't know whether it is true or not, but the people who are posting this video are saying that Mukunji was caught red-handed bribing the protesters that are causing mayhem in the country. I want you to look at this video and tell me whether you think it is true.
Huyo jamaa ndo anakanja vijana huyo ure inji amepita saa zile na anapita na sana mzuri amekarawa janga Mukunji no peace no Mukunji no peace no Mukunji no peace no Mukunji no peace anatoa kia
that we want Mheshimiwa Mukunji released. We are young people. Na watogo mundu gwetu anju mau. Kabutu kinyete the government should know. Kuma twatonya maundu ri magoceria maundu makwekoria ke mundu murume ni twagiria atumia na twagia ciana. Meaning even if you want to wipe us away, twina ciana tungetiga na atumia tungetiga. We are ready to stand up and fight. Nondu wa mundu gwetu anju ni gitongo wa Mukunji kuma manyata. We are ready to stand up and fight for the young people magwekoria thini wa kindu gwetu thirikari makiria muno kundu gwetu Embu. Na tunataka kuambia outrightly Mukunji no arwire thirikari ya kiama gwetwa UDA na akiburanira nginya acio maragwetwo president akiburanira governor na andu othe aria mathurirwe na tunashinda na ngikorwa thina wa Mukunji ni kwenda gukura jwa kurugama giti kiao governor. We are even ready to now so ya in him as a pro bono governor kana the acting governor kondogwe. We are ready to do that na tukwa na tunashinda na hiyo kana tigwa ndo wetu. We are ready na hiyo kiti mnajaribu kumwangaisha asitishe. We are going for that political seat. Ndo tekwate ni mundu murume na ni mtu akona wafuasi na sasa ugonjuma wani gongo insist twenda tukoveza na ultimatum na serikali the DCI tafadhali nondo wakiri ogwetu ande gwanjiro no wa confirm make sure to release Mukunji before tomorrow, before the clock of dawn tomorrow, kwa sababu kina mama wamepiga simu, vijana wamepiga simu, wazee wamepiga simu. Huyu ni mtu wetu, mtu anasimama na sisi. We are ready to sasa mmekuwa mkisema Mukunji ndiye anapanga maandamano. Sasa wacha nisema tuko tayari kupanga, lakini tuko tayari kusimama na mtoto yetu, mtoto ya Manyata na maneno ni hiyo, form ni kujituma, hashtag ni please release Mukunji. Asante sana.
So ladies and gentlemen, that is the information that the DCI gave, that he was arrested on suspicion that he's fueling demonstrations. And that is what we have been told. But what is the DCI not telling us? That is what I want us to look at. Because I have a feeling that going around, beating around the bush, arresting Mukunji is not the main target. In my very considered opinion, the government of the day wants to arrest Rigathi Gachagua. You know, this is not the first time we've had proponents of the broad-based government calling for the arrest of Rigathi Gachagua. In fact, it started with some undertones. Immediately, that was last year, after the June protest, when Gen Zs went to the streets to protest against the Finance Bill 2024. It was said that Rigathi Gachagua is the one who had infiltrated the Gen Zs protest to host William Samoei Ruto. You know, I'm still confused on this matter because if there is one thing that is disturbing me, I wish I could have a platform with Rigathi Gachagua to ask him why he called for a press conference after his boss had addressed the nation concerning the Gen Z protest. But of course, Rigathi did that according to him, or what I picked is that he had lamented, he had complained, he had advised William Samoei Ruto concerning the Finance Bill 2024, but he refused to listen to him. Rigathi says he is the only one who can look at the king in his face and tell him you're wrong. So at some point, I was really confused whether to take this explanation that Rigathi wanted to topple Ruto's government. But you see, topping someone's or any attempt to infiltrate protest to topple someone's government is tantamount to treason, and therefore, if they felt that Rigathi was culpable, they should have arrested Rigathi Gachagua. The mere fact that they have not even proposed charges tells me that all these were empty talks and mere rhetoric. Then just the other day, when Rigathi, in fact, I remember Rigathi's closest allies like Gakuya were investigated, and there were charges that had been proposed on them. I don't know why they have not been arrested. Maybe the ground is very volatile and they understand. Maybe the NIS has advised William Ruto that he should not attempt or imagine of arresting any of the Rigathi Gachagua allies because the whole of Mount Kenya, western part of Nyanza will go to flames because they are now in one accord. Then recently, Majority Leader Kimani Ichung'wah and his minority counterpart Junet Mohammed also called for the arrest of Rigathi Gachagua after Rigathi warned that in the event that the IEBC procures a rigged election, then the country will go to flames, and whatever we witnessed in 2007 will be a Christmas party. So they called for his arrest. That also fell on deaf ears because the ground does not allow. Rigathi Gachagua has built himself over for a very short period of time because he's now the face of opposition. Arresting him would agitate the Kamba Nation, the Luhya Nation, the Kisii Nation, the whole of Mount Kenya, and you know what that means. So there have been attempts to call for his arrest. Then recently, the DCI boss, told us that Rigathi is not immune to arrest. And I was wondering, why announce it to us? If you feel he's not immune to arrest, then go and arrest him. Because I remember Rigathi had been summoned by NCIC over the very, very same comments, and that Kenya would ban if elections are rigged. So I have a feeling that by trying to go around, they are looking at ways of arresting Rigathi Gachagua. And you will see Mukunji being set free. When William Ruto had disagreed that they had fallen out with his former boss, Uhuru Kenyatta, William Ruto lamented that those who were close to him, people like Ndindi Nyoro, were being harassed. Rigathi said that there were trumped-up charges against him. I remember at one point, Ndindi Nyoro, I think, almost spent a night at the royal media station when there was news that the DCI was waiting for him outside. They had some kind of an interview. So this is exactly what William Ruto is doing. And because there is no tangible evidence on all these things, they will set him free. At some point, I heard that one of the Rigathi Gachagua allies had choreographed his own arrest and kidnap. So, ladies and gentlemen, the number one reason is to try and arrest Rigathi Gachagua. But you see, this is like the very analogy that we have always been given, that there was a time when in the animal kingdom, rats were being threatened. Their existential, threat was coming from cats. So one day they had a meeting and they resolved in one accord that someone should take some bell, kengele ambayo itakuwa inapiga kelele, and tie it around the cat, so that whenever the cat will be running to come and maybe kill them, then they will get that noise from the bell. Now, after that resolution, the biggest question was who was going to tie this kind of warning bell around the cat. They searched for an answer. There was no one who was willing. Now, that is the biggest question. Who will arrest Rigathi and why? Is there any tangible reason why Rigathi should be, arrested? By the way, let me tell you, if Rigathi had done anything culpable, they would arrest him. But you see, anytime they try to arrest Rigathi Gachagua, they feel guilty. The other time they said Rigathi had sponsored goons to attack, business places. It was also found out that they were in charge of the goons when the governor himself released his goons to, Kuchunga Nairobi. So everything that they have tried, even they tried dragging the name of Rigathi Gachagua in the death of Albert Ogola. It was not, it couldn't hold any waters. But between Rigathi Gachagua and William Ruto, who will blink first? Because Rigathi Gachagua is saying Kasongo, Kaongo, Muaji, Arap Mashamba, Ruto must go, and he does not care. But Ruto seems to be exercising a lot of restraint against arresting Rigathi Gachagua. Something tells you that maybe he knows that in politics, there are no permanent enemies and permanent friends. They might work someday in the future. Those who follow Rigathi Gachagua's political ideology feel that that is an imagination that is far-fetched. But the residents of Manyata, and of course the entire Embu, are saying that they have given an ultimatum. If George Mukunji or Gitonga Mukunji will not be released, then they will demand for it. And that would mean going on the streets, and they are saying they are ready. That's why I'm telling you that we are not going to see an end to demonstrations any soon, because now it is in the Kenyan blood. They feel that the only language that the government listens to, especially Kasongo and his government, is demonstrations. The only biggest problem that I have is that during those protests, the police has made killing so cheap that they keep on shooting. Do you believe or do you think that the government is right when they arrest Mukunji, saying that he's the mastermind behind demonstrations? Okay, let's say is the one that is in charge of demonstrations, maybe in parts of Embu. What about the other parts, including Eldoret, Wasingishu, where William Ruto comes from? So is Mukunji also masterminding the demonstrations in Ruto's home turf? Home turf? I don't think so. The best thing that William Ruto should do is to sit down with these think tanks and do the right thing. And I don't like this idea where anytime there is a crisis and Gen Zs try to corner the president, then Raila says, no, we should talk. They are now bedfellows. Why can't he talk to the president himself? I don't think we need to talk. And I'll tell you why. Talking will be a waste of time. Number one, because the government does not listen. This is not the first time they've talked. Gen Zs have always said what they want to be done. So even if we talk up to next year, the government will not listen. They will not take any action. What I think should be done is not talking. Rather, William Ruto should implement. That is all. Let William Ruto govern in accordance with the Constitution, in accordance to the Constitution and the dictates that are written. Let him understand that Kenya does not belong to him alone, so that before he does anything that concerns Kenyans, let all stakeholders have an opinion. And let me tell you, William Ruto knows the right thing. It is only that he doesn't want to do it. The day he will stop listening to the international community, the day he will go back to his promises that he gave to Kenyans, you will never see anyone on the streets. But something tells me that he will not do that. What do you think, ladies and gentlemen?